On your right, Joel, the first question.
Joel Lorenzi with the Oklahoma. Alex, I imagine you spent a lot of the past week sort of watching some of the comebacks the Pacers had and the nature of them. What sort of stuck out to you about the way they win those games? What felt like a common denominator tonight, and where do you think things sort of went off the rails?
I don't know if went off the rails is the correct term. We lost the game. I thought we played good enough to win. We just didn't finish the game. And, credit to them. Like you said, that's how they've played for the whole postseason. They kind of stayed true to themselves and their brand of basketball. And, they threw in a couple big shots down the stretch. And that's kind of been a key for them, too, in a lot of those games that you talk about where they played at the end of the game where they might have, like, some type of comeback and end up winning. And then they found a way to get enough stops. We'll go back and watch the film. I don't think we played poorly. There'll probably be some stuff that we can clean up and, come back and get ready for Sunday.
Joe?
Masato, the Oklahoman. Alex, this was pretty reminiscent of Denver Game 1 for you guys. Obviously, go on to win that series. Do you look back on that experience at all now moving forward?
Yeah, you can. Just from a sense of, kind of the same game flow. We played good enough to win that game, controlled it for the most part, was up double digits most of that game as well. And then, they made some big shots. We made a couple mistakes down the stretch to give them free throws. There's some similar stuff from that, and I think just moving forward, I think the mentality of this team is good. We'll go back to the film and see what Coach has for us and then move from there.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is either one of you guys. Myron Patton, OKC Sports. You ever been part of a game where you force 25 turnovers and you lose, 14 steals, that many takeaways, and you come up on the short end of things?
I don't know. I've played a lot of games in my lifetime, but not in the NBA probably.
All right, let's go Nick over on the left. Sorry. Yep, go ahead, Nick.
Chet, I was just wondering what you felt offensively out there as a team. It seemed like you guys got a lot of opportunities in the paint, a lot of stuff going downhill. Do you feel like the angles that you had to the rim were good, or maybe some opportunities for improvement there?
There's always opportunities for improvement. We're going to go back and see where we can be better, but I feel like we're getting really good cracks at it, getting good looks. We're getting advantages, and especially myself, just wasn't finishing those plays. Got to slow down, and look how I can kind of convert those.
Dan, straight ahead.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. They got up 23s in the second half. It seemed like some of the switching that was kind of buttoned up in the first half burst loose a little bit. What did you guys see in terms of their motion? What was giving you a hard time with them getting loose?
Made 20 or
they got up 20? No, they went 10 for 20 in the second half.
I don't think they made 20.
Yeah, no, it was 10 for 20 in the second half.
10 for 20, 50. Yeah, they, like I said earlier, they made a couple good ones, a couple highly contested ones too. You just got to eliminate the ones that we give up that are out of rotation where we don't get there in time, or or in early transition where we're not matched up. But I gave them credit; they made big shots. Miles Turner, he banked in a sidestep three, made one in the corner. Neesmith made one highly contested over me. Nembhard threw in one off of ISO that was highly contested. Like, there's big shots. Maybe we just get the luck of the bounce and one of those don't go in, and it's a different feeling. But at the same time, like, we got to look at the right stuff, and we'll look at that tomorrow. And Mark's done a good job all postseason of helping us recognize what it is we need to be better at. And like I said, we'll regroup and come back Sunday.
Barry, back left.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Alex, with all the turnovers and steals, you didn't turn them into points off turnovers the way you usually do. Was there a reason for that, or just the transition wasn't as flowing as usual?
I'm not sure off of first look, just on memory of the game. Maybe we could have been a little more aggressive getting to the rim with the ball in transition after some of those instead of trying to come up and run sets. I don't know if that's actually true or not. That's just probably what, the history of basketball kind of tells me, that we probably weren't aggressive enough pushing those turnovers. But same time, that's a positive note. We create so many turnovers. Like, that's something you can hang your hat on and maybe not get to that number every night, but it's a positive note to show that we were swarming and having good defense tonight.
Second row on your right, Tim.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Alex, you're obviously aware of what Haliburton's been doing with the game on the line throughout the playoffs, in the regular season. What's the feeling when he's got the ball in his hands, time's ticking down, and he can win it?
I don't know. I felt confident we were still going to get a stop. I knew that I recognized they were going to play quick. As soon as Siakam got the rebound or whoever Neesmith got the rebound and threw it to Toppin, I knew that wasn't where the ball was going to end up. So I was trying to locate Tyrese, and Kaysen was on him, so I felt pretty confident. Kaysen's a great defender. Maybe he crawls up into him a little more and makes it a little more contested and physical to get to that spot. But, you don't want to live and die with the best player on the other team taking a game winner with a couple seconds left. You want to try and control the game coming down so it doesn't fall into that.
Jenny, here on your left.
Hey, Alex, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Shea said a little bit ago, he said, how you lose doesn't really matter. It's still a loss, but obviously this is the NBA Finals, game one, a game you guys had in control, and you then take the gut punch at the end. How do you make it just like any other loss, or do you look at it differently because the stakes are higher now?
I mean, it counts the same as when we lost by 40 at Minnesota in the last series. Counts the same as when we lost by 2 or 3 at Denver, game 3 of that series. It's all worth one, and it's the silver lining of it. But at the same time, like it's a loss, and if we don't recognize that and feel that, if that doesn't hurt right now, or like you're not frustrated with it, then obviously there's something wrong with you. But we play the game to win, but they're all worth one. They got to get 3 more, we got to get 4 more.
Fourth row on your right.
Valencia King, Real Talk Sports. Alex, I've spoken to you about your veteran voice before. In moments like this, do you lean on that a little bit more, or as a team, are you guys already united with the message going forward?
Yeah, I mean, we referenced it earlier. The Denver series, game 1, is eerily similar to this, so we have at least a little bit of experience to go off of. But yeah, I mean, my message will be the same. It'll change a little bit, but it's recover, get ready for game 2. But at the same time, it's all the stuff we've talked about. It's worth one. It's the first of 4. They're a good team that's right there in the finals. We're a good team that's right in the finals. We got to be just a little bit better.
Standing on your right, last question.
Chet, 56-39 was the final rebounding disadvantage for you guys. That kind of surprised me a little bit. Did you feel there were opportunities for you guys and that was a big missed one?
Yeah, obviously we could be better on the glass. That stood out to me too at first. They did have more offensive rebounds than we did, but we forced a lot of turnovers and got a lot of steals, so there's no rebound opportunity on plays like that because they're not even getting a shot up. So I guess that stat doesn't tell the whole story, but we can still continue to be better on that end in that area.
Thank you both. This concludes the session in here for tonight. Take questions for Jalen. Back row over there, or 6th row. Yep.
John, I think Indiana scored 12 points in the final 2.5 minutes. Just defensively, for a team that performed so well in the first half, what did you guys see in those final 2.5 minutes that you guys didn't do well?
Our offense was really slow, I think, and we kind of let that dictate how we played on defense. Obviously, when you're down by what they are, they're going to go fast. And you kind of got to, for right now, we got to have film, look at what happened during that time. But right now, it's just got to tip your hat. They made some really big shots down the stretch, and just for playing with, the hunger of being down. And it kind of was like we were trying to, play like we were trying to keep the lead instead of trying to, extend it or, keep being aggressive.
Dan, 3rd row.
Jalen, after such a quick turnaround like that, such a reversal of fortune, how do you guys avoid, shell shock, for lack of a better term, being able to go from that high to that low? How do you ride that out getting into game 2?
Well, it sucks, but we have been here before. Obviously, the Denver series, probably, honestly, around the same thing, to be totally honest. So we'll get back to 0-0, look at what we can do to get better, and it's first of 4. So regardless of if it's the finals or round 1, round 2, you still have to win 4 games. So we'll take that and be ready for game 2.
Next question here in the front.
Joseph Pavone, Clutch Points. Relating to that, loss or, the way it went down in game one against Denver Nuggets. What are some of the shortcomings that you can somewhat relate to in this game, especially down the stretch in that fourth quarter?
Had a couple of defensive breakdowns that cost us, a couple offensive rebounds that cost us, just like little stuff down the stretch. When shots, I think we had a really good offensive process going through. Like we got some good shots towards the end, but when shots aren't falling, you can't have, defensive breakdowns like we did.
Jenny, next row back.
Hey, Jalen, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. For as many turnovers as you guys had, you only had 11 points off those turnovers. How do you turn that into more points? Was that just an off shooting night, or was there something else going on there?
Nah, I think you got to look at what kind of turnovers we're getting to. Sometimes you get them you get a turnover in the backcourt. Sometimes the defense is behind you now, so you try and obviously pace out and run something. We'll look at it though. I think, like I said, the goal of our defense is not really to get steals. It's a byproduct of how solid we are on defense and how well we're communicating and playing defense. But I mean, just steals are a part of the game. Obviously, you want to convert more on them, but at the same time, you got to understand what kind of steals we're getting and just kind of how they're coming.
Howard to the middle.
Back from the ringer. Jalen, you've, I'm sure, watched a lot of those Pacer comebacks earlier in the postseason and a lot of Haliburton's shots. What was it like to be on the other end of it? And, what did you think when you saw them against other teams versus having to be on the other end of it tonight?
I mean, it sucks. I don't know.
Next row up.
Jerry Ramsey, franchise. Jalen, none of their guys had 20 points, but 6 of them were in double figures. Just can we talk about how hard it is to defend a team like this that doesn't have, especially in this game, a primary scorer, and it just seems like everybody's chipping in?
Can you repeat your question? My fault.
None of their guys had 20. They had 6 guys in double figures, though. Just how difficult is it to guard a team like this that, you can't really focus on one primary scorer. Everybody's just sort of chipping in here and there.
That's what makes them good. I think that's what makes us good as well. Like I was saying earlier, just throughout the week, we're very similar in how we play. And they understand that, it's 5 people out on the floor, and you're definitely a more dangerous team when everybody's involved, and they do a good job of moving the ball and playing with pace and doing stuff like that, which is why the loss sucks a little bit, just because we had controlled the game for as much as we did and kind of let it go away a little bit towards the end.
Back left.
I was wondering on the missed shots, did they come out of your hand good? Did you feel good about some of the ones that you'd love to have back?
Yeah, for sure. As a basketball player, even if you probably ask anybody in Indiana, they're going to have shots that they thought went in or thought felt good. That's just the nature of the game. I think a lot of it is just continuing to have a good process about how you get the shots, and I've repped a lot of the shots that I shot tonight over and over and over again, consistently throughout my career, this year, the playoffs. So all you can do is shoot them and not get scared to shoot them. I think that's the biggest thing. So go into every game confident in my work and go from there.
Anyone with a final question? Thank you, Jalen.
Yep.
The 2 together. Questions? Please raise your hand. Let's go 4th row over here on 1 in the center in the tan. Hold on for the mic. Yep.
Lugan, tu as été excellent dans ce match-là. Évidemment, vous n'avez pas le résultat que vous voulez à la fin. Ça a été comment d'avoir cette énergie-là énorme de la foule puis de vivre ce moment crève-cœur à la fin?
C'est bon, c'était bien. La foule va toujours nous supporter, même si on gagne ou on perd ou n'importe quoi durant tout le match. Ça, on aime ça, mais on a des trucs à travailler. Demain, on va regarder du film, on va voir qu'est-ce qu'on peut s'améliorer sur. C'est sûr que on aurait voulu gagner ce match-là, mais faut nous battre 4 fois. So, on a encore d'autres matchs à jouer.
Jenny, over here on the left on 2.
Hey, Lou, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Shay was just in here saying, doesn't really matter how you lose, it's still a loss. But the way this one went down, how do you guys guard against not having it have carryover?
I mean, he's right. He's right. The games is ups and downs all the time, and then you just gotta finish it. Losing like that hurts, But at the same time, there's a couple of stuff that we could have done better. And then, it's a long series. So, got to get back tomorrow, watch film, see the stuff that we can get better at, and then right back at it in a couple of days.
Up here in the front, Joe.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Lou, was this kind of reminiscent of Denver game one for you, just a game that you controlled for the most part, game-winning shot at the end? And is that experience you can sort of draw back upon, given how that series ended for you?
For sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, it happened before. Obviously, we had the right approach throughout the whole series against Denver. So, like I said, this is a different team. So we got to go back, watch film, and really get better and try and not let that happen again.
Over the front row, Nick.
Hey, Lou, the things that you guys have relied upon since the beginning of the build, 0-0 mentality, 48-minute game, how, I guess, maybe anticipatory are you that those are the things that are going to be tested here in the finals?
Yeah, still the same mentality, honestly. Next game, we go on with a 0-0 mentality and just to go out there and trying to win the game. And, like I said, it's one game. It's a long series, so we'll be better next game.
Second row, Tim, on the right.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Lou, you guys had them really in hell for the first half as far as your defensive pressure. What happened? What changed in the second half for you guys defensively?
I guess they did a better job taking care of the ball. Our intensity has been the same. Like they hit a lot of tough shots. But that's just how we play. We play really hard, and we trying to turn them over. And then, I feel like they just took care of the ball.
Over here on the fourth row on the left.
Jerry Ramsey from the franchise. Lou, despite the loss, I mean, you shot the ball pretty well and sort of kind of kept the Thunder in offensively for a little bit there. Just talk about, getting into finals game one and just kind of putting that on your shoulders. Defensive specialist, sure, but knocking down these shots to keep them in the game.
Yeah, just got to shoot the right shots, honestly. Be in the right spots. We got a lot of guys that attract a lot of defenders. So, whenever I can get open, I'll try my best to do it and to shoot it with confidence.
Go ahead, Dan, in the middle.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Two have forced them into I think it was 19 turnovers in the first half, but only be up 12 at halftime. Just what was the process like offensively for you guys in the first half? And then, knowing that the lead kind of, you felt like you maybe even should have been up bigger than that. Was that any kind of concern when you went in at half?
I mean, some of the looks that we usually make, we miss them, I guess. We turn the ball over. They turn the ball over a lot, so we could have do a better job of converting on offense. But they're a good team. They're in this position for a reason too. So, like I said, watch film and be better next game.
Last two in the third row.
Alexandre Tournier de RDS. Évidemment, c'est pas le résultat que tu voulais, mais au niveau personnel, tu étais partout sur le terrain, défensivement, à l'attaque avec 5 tirs de 3 points. Comment tu as vécu ce premier match-là pour toi en grande finale?
C'était le fun. On a travaillé fort pour se rendre jusqu'ici. J'ai travaillé fort pour me rendre jusqu'ici. Alors, je vais enjoy vraiment ça avec mes teammates. Puis, c'est pas le résultat qu'on voulait, mais c'est une longue série, puis on a encore beaucoup de chance. Alors, on va garder la tête haute, puis on va continuer à s'améliorer pour le prochain match.
Michael, straight ahead, last one.
Lou, Mike Grange from Sportsnet. You personally, you did have the 4 steals, a couple of blocks, that big block on Naismith. Was there something you saw as you were studying this team that allowed you to be that aggressive, that successful when you did go for the ball?
Honestly, just being in the game. On that end of the floor, I move a lot. I pay a lot of attention to some of the stuff that they do. So anytime I can, sneak one in there, a steal or a block or whatever, I'll do it. And that's just how I play. And then, whenever I got to do a play like that for my teammates, I'll do it.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
Jalen, I would take questions for Shea. Right up front here on 1. Joel?
Shea, obviously you had a chance to put you guys up 3. What did you sort of see then and then in the sequence where they take it down and Tyrese hits the shot?
Yeah, I thought I got a pretty good look. Felt good. Didn't go in. And then they got a look and it went in. I don't know. Basketball, ups and downs. It is what it is. you can't do anything about it now. Just got to be better for next game.
Joe?
Aside of the Oklahoman, Shea, was this reminiscent of Game 1 Denver at all for you? You guys control most of the game. They come back late. And if so, can you sort of draw back on that experience?
Yeah, we just got to focus on being better. The series isn't 1-1, it's 1-4. So we have 4 more games to get. They have 3, and that's just where we are. We got to understand that, and we got to get to 4 before they get to 3 if we want to win the NBA championship, and it's that simple. It's not rocket science. We lost Game 1. We have to be better.
Nick on the right.
Shea, in being better, what do you feel are some controllables, particularly on the offensive end of the floor, just given the number of looks you guys got in the paint, downhill? It seemed like you guys were getting downhill a lot, but those shots weren't going down.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not too sure. It's hard to have that answer 20 minutes after the game. But yeah, for sure, we it's definitely areas to get better on both ends of the floor, and it's what the next 2 days are for. Try to get better and then come out here and be a better team for Game 2.
Jenny here on the left.
Shea, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. You guys have, when you've had games that have slipped through your fingers in these playoffs, you've found a way to come back and make good on that. But in the finals, with the pressure being what it is, how can you guys make sure that you do that again? Or is this kind of an unknown because you guys as a group haven't been to this point yet?
Yeah, I think as much as we can, we just got to treat it like every other game, every other situation we've been in. Yes, we haven't been in this situation, but it doesn't mean our character has to change or what we did last time. It's still basketball, it's still the game of basketball that we grew up playing. The rules don't change just because we're in the finals. So it's like we've been in this situation before. In the other situation, we handled it well. We were better for Game 2, and that's the goal.
Tim on your right, third row.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Shea, I'm sure you are aware of just the crazy clutch run that Haliburton's on in the playoffs all season long, really. He's got the ball in his hands. Last seconds ticking down. What's that feel like for you?
I don't know. It happened so fast. I feel like we got matched. He got down going right, pulled up from the midi, and knocked down the shot. I don't know. It didn't feel like anything crazy. He just made a play with the time winding down. Made a good play.
Michael Grange, the middle.
Shea, you guys had a long layoff. You talked before the game about sort of trying to fill that time. How do you feel like you responded to the energy in the building and the energy the Pacers brought in the early part of the game, at least?
Yeah, I thought we were pretty good. We had control of the game for the most part of it. Now it is a 48-minute game, and they teach you that lesson more than anyone else in the league, the hard way. But yeah, I thought we came out with the right intentions, right energy. The crowd was amazing, obviously. Just got to do a better job of closing.
Over here on your left, third row.
Daniel Bell, yeah. So, Shea, the looks that you guys got, do you feel like those are just normal? Do you feel like they were doing anything specific to kind of throw you guys off?
Nah, not really. They played their style of basketball. We played our style of basketball. I feel like we got some looks that usually go down that just didn't. But that's never an excuse. We've won plenty of games despite not shooting as well as we know we can. And that's something that we don't hang our hat on. So there's definitely so many areas to be better on. And that's what we have to focus on for Game 2.
Next question, the back row on the left.
Shea, Leandro Sarhan from ESPN Brazil. You guys were in a similar situation before when Aaron Gordon hit that game winner. What's the similarities? How can you guys bounce back after such a, hard? Probably it's hard to bounce back after that.
Yeah. Like for me personally, like how you lose doesn't really matter. Obviously, it sucks the last second shot, but the energy in the arena and stuff like that. But we lost at the end of the day. We lost Game 1. We've lost Game 1 before. And on the other side of that, we came out a better team, and that's our goal. That's our mentality, to try to learn a lesson from the loss, like we always do, and move forward and be better.
Anyone with a final question? Thank you. Take first question in the front row, Joel.
Mark, I imagine you spent a lot of this week reviewing some of the Pacers' comebacks, just the nature in which those late game situations happen for them. What maybe felt like a common denominator tonight, and where'd you sort of sense things went off the rails?
The common denominator is them. That's a really good team. Credit them, for not only tonight but their run. They've had so many games like that that have seemed improbable, and they just play with a great spirit. They keep coming, they keep playing. They made plays, they made shots, so they deserve to win by a point. We got to learn from it. There's obviously a lot of things we can clean up, but credit them. They went and got that game.
Again in the front row.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Mark, was this reminiscent of Denver game 1 to you, just controlling much of the game and until the very end? And is that experience you can maybe lean back on?
Yeah, I mean, the playoffs take you to the limit, and they put your back against the wall in games, in series. If you make it this far, you have to endure to do that, and it gives you rich experiences that you can draw on. So the biggest experience we've had is understanding that every game's a new game. The most important game in the series is always the next one, regardless of the outcome. We would have liked to win tonight, but tonight was a starting point, not an end point. There's a lot of things we can improve on. There's a lot of things I'm sure Indiana thinks they can improve on, and now the series starts to evolve. So would have liked to get the game, but need to be a better team in game 2.
On your right, Tim, third row.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. What changed defensively for you guys, offensively for them after halftime?
I thought they loosened us up a little bit. They took better care of the ball. Obviously, I'm sure that was a huge theme for them coming in and at the half. So I thought they did a good job of attacking. They made a couple more shots, obviously. We'll have to look at it, but I thought our conversion on the turnovers in the first half hurt us a little bit. Like, we didn't get the kind of juice for that squeeze that we normally do when we turn teams over, so we can take a look at that. I thought offensively for us, we hit the paint like crazy. We took like 50-something shots in the paint for only 40-something points. So we can look at those. We got to finish stronger. We got to be stronger with the ball, or we got to spray some of those out and look at those pictures. But this is what happens when you play a team. You learn them, you get a feel for them in game 1, and then the series starts to evolve.
On the left over here.
Mark, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Obviously, opportunity lost to lead all night and then lose. How do you not let it trickle into the next game? And what have your guys done to lead you to believe that it won't be sort of a, maybe the defining game of this series?
Well, there's a lot more games left in the series, so we understand that. We got to get ourselves to 0, as we always do. That's a habit that hopefully we've formed. These guys have made a habit of being able to get ourselves centered and play our best game in the next game. So you got to tip your hat to them. They got us tonight. They played really well. They deserve to win, but we got to learn from it. We got to improve like we would if we had won the game, and get ourselves ready for game 2. It's really what it comes down to.
Front right, Nick.
Mark, you mentioned the conversion and some of the stuff you had around the rim that just didn't go down. What did you notice in real time about maybe the angles you all were getting on drives, or some things there that you all can clean up in game 2?
Yeah, it was a little bit of everything. I thought we were a little sloppy on some gathers. They got a piece of the ball on some of the plays. I thought there were some that we probably jammed up there, and we could have gotten to 2 feet or sprayed the ball back out. And some of them we just didn't finish, which is part of the game. I mean, we don't have to be perfect, but we do have to learn from it. It's a team we haven't played a ton this season, so tonight gave us a feel for them, and we've got to take that feel, figure out where we can improve, and just improve as the series goes on. That's always our mantra through these series, is we just have to grow with the series. That's going to be our challenge in this one, but we got to get to work on that, obviously.
Myron up front.
Yeah, a couple of things. One, you got the turnovers tonight, 25, but they didn't produce a lot of points, and you led the playoffs in points off turnovers. And also, Obi Toppin, it's like every time he came with a big three-pointer, was he doing something to get open? Or was they running some stuff for him? But he seemed like he really hurt you tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the turnovers, that I thought was a big part of it. Our conversion, we want to be fast up the floor. I didn't think we converted a lot of advantageous situations tonight, so we can learn from that. Like I said, we want to be in the paint against this team. Thought we got there a lot and just didn't convert those. So offensively, there's things we can look at. And then defensively, they made some plays. They made some shots. I mean, Neesmith made some big shots, and Toppin, shot the heck out of the ball. I don't know what they shot as a team from 3. I think it's like 45 or 46, but they shot the hell out of the ball. They have all playoffs. We got to look at the ones that if they're contested and they just make a shot, you tip your hat. But there was a lot of them that were on our breakdowns. We got to learn from those and credit them. They made us pay when we made mistakes tonight.
Dan in the center.
On Yahoo Sports. Seemed like with some of the switching that you guys were getting into, they were able to get a little bit more of their, Siakam or Turner on some of your smalls. Is that, obviously that's part of game plan, but is that something that you're concerned about with the height advantage that they're able to get to down low?
Only if they take advantage of it. Some of it's the cost of doing business, to be able to get perimeter speed on the court, get more switching in the game. It's obviously something that is a trade-off, but we can look at it. I thought the small lineup at the end of the first half looked pretty good. Offensively, we didn't move the scoreboard, but I thought we were getting some good stuff there. That's why I went back to it down the stretch. But, when we're small, we have to be pressure-oriented and contain the ball. And I thought they got some cracks against us that hurt us a little bit more than the post-ups did. But we'll look at everything. We obviously have to be better if we want to win game 2.
Next row back.
Yeah, you had a starting lineup change. What was the reasoning going to Wallace, and then late you closed with no centers? Are you seeing at least early that this might be a smaller series?
It was tonight. That was obviously the intention. I thought getting Kaysen out there, really defensively, giving us another perimeter guy for Haliburton and Nembhard. That was the idea there. We've been pretty fluid with the lineup throughout the course of the season. Kaysen started 40-something games. We changed the lineup a million times. We obviously heading in the playoffs, but that's why we do it during the regular season, is so that it's not earth-shattering when we do it. So I thought the guys adapted. We got off to good starts in both halves. But we'll see how the series goes. We obviously have a lot of optionality. We'll look at everything. We'll look at anything we can to try to give ourselves the best chance to win.
Fourth row on the right.
I think Indiana scored 12 points in the final 2.5 minutes. Do you think it was the pace that kind of put you guys at a disadvantage, or how would you assess how your defense performed in the last 2.5 minutes?
A little bit of everything. They made some plays on some of those plays. They made some shots. They got a couple that you wish you get back. We had bonus fouls, which were costly. And then offensively, we didn't move the scoreboard as well as we could have. And so you just add all that up, and that's how you get that sort of comeback. But, you tip your hat to them. They made plays. They've done it all playoffs. This is part of their identity. They have a lot of belief. They never think they're out of it, so they play with great confidence even when their back's against the wall. They proved that tonight. And, to me, that's a game that they went and got. And it's a game that we can look at and improve in a lot of different areas, and that's our challenge right now as we head into game 2.
Last question over here, Randall, third row on the left.
Daniel Bell, BSO. Their last turnover came with a lot of time left in the game. Did you feel like there was anything that you guys stopped doing to cause those turnovers? Did you feel like there was anything that they did to stop turning the ball over?
We can look at it. It's never our end game, is to turn them over. It's really about disruption, disruption of their rhythm, getting our pressure into the game, using our speed. And oftentimes that yields turnovers, but it also yields non-rhythm shots. And so if they're lining up rhythm shots or getting, deep in the paint on us, then that we've had some sort of breakdown of that. But it's not just about turning them over. It's about trying to force them away from what's comfortable. And I thought we did that for much of the game. But obviously, down the stretch, they did a great job of generating what they needed to win.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.